Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl, aka Artsy Island Girl for Pear Blossom Press. Today I'm going to create a light up outdoor birthday card using a couple die sets as well as layering stencil set from Spellbinders and the one light from Pear Blossom Press. I love how easy these one lights are to use to add an interactive element to your cards. I have several different die sets I'm using. I'm using the Trailside Trio die set as well as the Camp Days die set for the clothes as well as the lantern. Then I'm using the Trails end die for those trees, the sign, and the hammock. And then for my background, I'm using the Lakeside Memories stencil set to create a really beautiful background scene for our card. I'm creating an A2 size card for this, but you could easily make it a little bit larger and create a 5x7 card if you wanted to have a bit more space. I'm going to use a one light from Pear Blossom Press in order to create the light in our lantern, but at the beginning of the project I wasn't sure if I wanted to use a one light from the regular package, one light from the Halo one light combo package. The one from the combo package has a little bit more space between the light and the button that triggers it. I'm also going to be using the Push Here stamp from the Pear Blossom Press stamp and die set. This one has some great trigger words for interactive cards that I use often. I'm going to start with my background. I have a piece of Hammermill Cardstock here that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I'm using my sticky mat to hold that cardstock in place. I also use a little bit of painter's tape to hold that stencil in place, just because there's not a ton of space touching that mat, and I wanted to make sure that it's not going to move on me while I'm creating my background. For my inks for my background, I'm using a bunch of different distress inks. The first one I have there is peeled paint for that very first layer. For the second layer, I'm doing some forest moss, and I'm making my ink heavier towards the bottom, lighter towards the top where the sun would be hitting the tops of the trees and the tops of the hills. I want that to be just a little bit lighter, but I also want there to be some color variation between those hills and those trees. For my sky, I'm using a combination of some worn lipstick, wilted violet, and chipped sapphire. I want it to look like it is kind of dusk. I don't want it to necessarily be super dark, but I do want to see those details. So I'm kind of doing like a medium tone background because I want to see those details, but I want to look like it's a sunset. So we're having a little bit of color in that sky, a little bit of color reflected on that lake. So I'm starting with that worn lipstick, then I do the wilted violet, and then I go in with that chipped sapphire and fill in the rest of the areas. I want to make sure that I can still see those different colors. Those colors really are to just add a little bit of interest to that sky and make it look like it's more dusk rather than in the middle of the day. You could also use lighter colors if you wanted, but because we're focusing on our little creature with our lantern, I wanted it to look a little bit darker. You could even do like an evening or really a nighttime sky as well as reflection on the water if you wanted to make it a little bit darker in that background. Because we have the tree die cuts as well as the sign, we're not going to be seeing a ton of that background though, so I'm not worried about it being a perfect background. This is just to add background to our scene. And I just wanted to have some darker colors than what I would normally do for, say, a daytime look. For the last layer stencil, I used some scattered straw for our moon, and I also used some tea dye for the sand on the beach. Once I have that done, I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle to that water just to reflect from the moon. So I'm going to be using some stickles, again, just to add that little bit of sparkle and that little bit of reflective twinkle on the water that I just thought it would be a nice touch in the background. It's going to add a little bit of extra texture. Again, because we have those trees as well as the hammock and the sign, we're not going to see a ton of this. This is just going to be a little tiny surprise in the background. I always love finding different ways to add some extra texture. I'm setting that aside to dry while we create our critter as well as our additional die cut. So we have our hammock here. I have them die cut out of some Fawn Cardstock with some alabaster for the strings or the ropes that would hang it from the tree. I also have my sign, the front pieces die cut out of that Fawn Cardstock, and then just some acorn or some darker brown cardstock for those letters or those words in there. Now I chose to create a happy birthday card with this using the sentiments in that sign. There's a few different sentiments in that die set, so you could add or create different sentiments if you wanted it to say something else. You could even use just the plain sign and use some sentiment stamp die sets or stamp sets to stamp on there if you wanted to create a custom sentiment. For my trees, I chose two of the different tree shapes in a couple different greens. I wanted to add a little bit of green variety to that background. And then we have our trunks in the darker brown. I'm using liquid glue to glue everything together. I typically will use that for most of my cards. This is Barely Art glue. I have it in a fine line bottle, so it works perfectly for gluing tiny die cuts together, like the ones that I'll be using for creating my critter as well as the lantern. It also works great for assembling cards. And with that liquid glue, you have that little bit of wiggle room to move and shimmy things in place. So I use it for most things. I'm using a little bit of brown ink around the outside of our signs. I'm going to use some ink blending like this on some of the background pieces, but I don't do it on our critter. Just for personal preference, I wanted to have a little bit of that ink blending on the background, but I left the critter just kind of nice and clean without any ink blending. But you certainly could add it if you wanted all of the die cuts to have that ink blending on there. I chose the darker peel or forest moss for around those trees. Again, just adding a little bit of that ink for some visual dimension. Then we can glue the sentiment signs to the post and put all of these die cuts aside while we assemble our main die cuts. So the assembly for these die cuts go together really quite quickly. What I like to do when I'm assembling a bunch of die cuts like this is I lay them out on my desk, putting the pieces that go together right beside each other so that you can see everything, all the pieces that you need. And as you're adding different die cuts or layering different die cuts on each other, you have less and less die cuts to add. It just makes it really easy to have everything all out. You know that you have all of the pieces that you need and you can easily assemble them that way. I'm using a wax tip tool for some of the smaller pieces. These dies, when you die cut them, it typically will put an indentation or a line where an overlaying piece is supposed to go. So it makes it really easy to know where those overlaying pieces are intended to go, to add just glue to those areas and then put the glues or the die cuts on top of that. Another option is just putting it on the back of the die cut. And you can see as I'm assembling, I do it both ways. It just depends on the piece that I'm doing. If I can see that line nice and easily, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. These types of dies can be a little bit intimidating because they have a lot of pieces to them. But by taking the time to lay everything out so you know where everything goes, I will always have my packaging to the side so that if by chance I forget something while I'm assembling, I can always look at the package to know exactly where a piece is going to go. It takes the intimidation out of it. The great thing about sets like these, even though they are a little bit intimidating for people that are newer to pieces or die cuts that have a lot of die pieces to them, is they have a lot of detail once you're done. So it is so worth it to put these things together. It does take a little while to assemble them and it takes a little while to die cut them. What I'll typically do when I'm die cutting them is I'll lay all my dies out with over top of the color cardstock that I want to use and just have it organized before I start my die cutting. Now, when I put my arms on this little raccoon, I put that left arm there up more because I thought it would be great to have the lantern higher. However, when I go to put my shirt on the raccoon, I realize that's not going to work because it doesn't work with the shape of the shirt. So I will lower that arm for the final card. And because I'm using liquid glue, I have that wiggle room to do that. So it's not there permanent. It's easy enough to just move it because that glue hasn't dried enough for that to stay where it is. So you'll see that when I put my shirt down, I realized the mistake with the arm after a few seconds. And at first I leave it there thinking maybe I can get away with it, and then realize that no, I can't get away with it. It just looks a little bit awkward to have the arm coming out of the shoulder. So again, easy enough to move and adjust that arm so that it can hold that lantern properly. Now the lantern itself, I die cut out of some black mirror cardstock because I wanted it to have some great shine to it. Another option would be some like silver mirror or even matte cardstock, a metallic cardstock, just to give it a different texture from the regular die cuts for the raccoon and the clothes. I always love using specialty cardstocks when I'm creating just because it creates an interesting or unique feature. Now this lantern has that black flame on it. I want to cut that off because I have some vellum flames here that I have die cut. Now before I die cut them, I put some score tape on the back of them, basically creating vellum stickers. Now vellum is transparent, so it's going to be perfect for our one light to shine that light through. However, adhesive shows up on it even if you use vellum adhesive. So I like to use some sheets of adhesive to put it on my vellum before I die cut and basically create vellum stickers with it. That's the way I get away with using vellum and not seeing the adhesive. So I take my background once it's completely dry and I cut 1/8 of an inch off of each side so that it is trimmed down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm going to add my die cut for my background first, then I will add the foreground die cuts. So I'm going to start with my trees as well as my hammock. Now, as we're doing this, you'll see that I will put my hammock down so that I have those trees spaced properly to make sure that it hangs between those trees properly. Now, I put the hammock on this card simply because in the different cards that I've created using this collection, I haven't used the hammock yet. You don't necessarily need to. Like I said, this is kind of the background scene to it, so we're not going to see a lot of that hammock, so you could easily leave that off if you want. Now, when I go to add my raccoon on there, I realized that I had my sign a little bit too far in. And again, this is a great way or a great reason to use liquid glue because it gives you that wiggle room to move and shimmy things in place. Before I glue my pieces down, I'm going to put my one light on there and make sure that I put those pieces where they're supposed to go so that I can add that push here stamp and have the right placement between my light and my little trigger on that one light. So I'm going to put that stamp push here on the bottom left of this card. Then I'm going to make a space for that light and I'm going to use my paper piercer or die piercer in order to pierce a hole right through there. This light is going to be behind our cardstock, so we want to make sure that that push here is right on top of that button and our light shines right through that hole. I'm using some 1/4 inch score tape in order to tape that mechanism in place. I want to make sure it's not going to move on me. And by pushing that button, I can see where that light is and make sure that I have that light properly through the hole for our lantern. Once we have that placed properly, we can add our raccoon with the lantern. You can see that I haven't added the flame yet. I want the flame to go right over that hole where the lantern is, but I wanted to make sure, because that flame is a little bit larger than the lantern, I chose to use 2 colors. There is also a die in this set to create a campfire that I've already created a card on the Pear Blossom Press channel with this collection with that campfire, and I'll link to that at the end of this video. But I chose to use the smaller flame for in this lantern as well as one of the bigger flames for that campfire. So I wanted to make sure to put that on top of that opening, but underneath that lantern, and I wanted to add that afterwards. Then we can add the glue on top of that lantern or on the lantern so we can place that properly. You can see that I adjusted my placement for my happy birthday sign so that it wasn't right behind that raccoon. Now that's where doing a 5x7 card would give you some more space with these die cuts if you want. You could use less die cuts as well. I'm using some double thick foam on the back of this piece. We want to make sure that our foam tape is thicker than that battery pack from our one light. If your foam tape isn't as thick, you can do a double layer of it. Once I have those pieces down, I take off the release paper from the backing and I can put it on our A2 size card. Now, I chose to not put a mat around the scene here. I didn't think it was necessary. There's enough white in our scene that coordinates with the white of the card, but you certainly could if you wanted. I wanted to see more of that stenciled background scene rather than having a mat around it. Now, to add just a touch more texture, I'm using some glossy accents on the eyes as well as the nose of the raccoon. This is just going to add some glossy dome dimension and change up those eyes and give them a different texture from the rest of the card. I love using glossy accents on eyes and nose just to give the light something to reflect on and add that extra detail. These are the very simple things, but they add that beautiful detail to it and really finishes it off and takes it to the next level, in my opinion. I just use a tiny little bit of stickles on the firelight or the light from the lantern just to give that a bit of sparkle when it is not lit. And here is the finished card. So we have that really fun scene in the background, but we have that little adorable raccoon holding that lantern, and there is the push me stamped image on the bottom of the card so the recipient knows exactly what to do with that card, giving it an interactive feature. One lights are really quite easy to create with, but they just add so much wow factor to your creations. You'll find everything I've used listed and linked down in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time that you spent with us. Have a fantastic day.